Consumer confidence is down in a 50-year low, and people are freezing and not sure what to do. At the moment, there's a lot of fear out there. They think the world's falling apart, but I've seen this movie play over and over, and I know the ending. I saw it in 2008 with the GFC. I saw it during COVID. In 5 years' time, we're going to forget there was an oil crisis, and people that bought a property in 2026, they'll still have that property and the growth, and people that didn't buy it, they're going to have nothing tangible. Okay, the truth about Australia's building crisis, construction crisis that no one is talking about. Hello and welcome to the Positive Property Show. I've got Adam Albrecht here with me. Adam, how are you?
Good evening. Happy Easter Thursday, everybody. Hope we're doing well out there in the world.
Yeah, we're going to do an Easter special. I'm not going
Easter
to wear bunny
special.
ears or anything like that. But what I want to talk about first is before we start, because we're going to go through a lot of stats. So get your notepads out and your pens because this is important. I want to give you the stats behind the headlines and the truth of what's going on. Because at the moment, there's a lot of fear out there. And I noticed it firsthand. Just before I flew out back to Bali the other week, I was actually at the petrol station filling up the car. And something hit me. I was sitting there and I was filling up the tank and it got to 120, 140, 160. And I winced like most Australians are wincing at the moment at the petrol station. But then something else hit me even harder. I saw this guy, probably late 20s, and he parked this car and he just finished filling his tank. And he had a baby seat, one of those baby seats that faces backwards, got the little things hanging on it. And he looked at the baby seat and I saw the look in his eyes thinking, and I was thinking to myself, I'm going to be that guy soon. Because,
Yeah, I was
me
about
and
to say,
Christina,
you were that
exactly.
guy.
So that's why it really hit me. And I was looking at that guy, he looked worried, right? And in 8 weeks, as you know, me and Christina are about to have our first child. About the oil crisis and everything else like that. And I was thinking, you know what? I've been doing this for a long time, investing in property. And the money and the wealth is great. But what's more important is the reason on why you're doing this, right? And I sort of dug down thinking, I'm building a life for my future child so he can have a better life than me and really
Mm.
start well. It's all about legacy, right? Because that's the real reason to do this. And at the moment, there's a lot of headlines, there's a lot of fear, and consumer confidence is down in a 50-year low. So it's down a lot. And I've seen this movie play over and over, and I know the ending. When you've seen a formula in a movie play, you know the ending already, but kids watch it. They don't know. They're all excited. Is the superhero going to win? Is he not going to win? But we all know the superhero is going to win every time, correct?
That's the
Right.
way they end.
Yeah, exactly. And the people that aren't investors and haven't invested for a long time, they don't know how this oil crisis is going to end with the property market or investing. But I do, because I've seen this movie play over and over. I saw it in 2008 with the GFC. I saw it during COVID, and I've seen this happen over and over again. The fact of it is, what happens now, and I understand that, people are freezing. The property market's actually dipped. It's had a little bounce downwards, and people are scared. There's people that are trying to sell their investment properties, people that have stopped buying investment properties. I've seen this happen many times. And people are freezing and not sure what to do. Now, the thing is, those people that are freezing, they're in for a shock because they think the world's falling apart. But in 5 years' time, we're going to forget there was an oil crisis. The petrols will be back to normal, everything will be back to normal. And people that bought a property in 2026, they'll still have that property and the growth. And people that didn't buy it, they're going to have nothing tangible. You know what I mean? And Easter is about resurrection and about a new start. There's probably a lot of people out there that are scared, but I'm saying go with the theme and resurrect. That's the thing. Now, I've got myself a mega pint of wine. I've been
Just
watching the Amber and have you seen that on Netflix, the documentary about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp, no.
Oh, it's a really good doco. It's about them going to court, and there's a video of him filling up this massive pint of wine in the morning, and it
In
was
the
looking really
morning.
bad, right? Looking bad for him, but he just comes out and says, "Oh, mega pint," and just turned it around to make it something fun. Only Johnny Depp could do that. You know what I mean?
That's good. What's
Yeah.
the fuel price like in Bali? Are you guys getting hit with the same
No,
sort of
no,
no?
no, not hardly any increase at all. It's a
Really?
lot cheaper to get fuel in Bali than it is in Australia. And this is the thing, Australia produces petroleum, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's embarrassing that other countries are doing better than us. And just Indonesia is actually not very good at having a lot of stores of supplies. So I don't know what's happening there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the state of the nation and go through some stats because I want to talk about what's happening in builders, what's happening in supply, and what's happening in oil. Because I did a post recently about oil and my thoughts on the matter. So let's go through the numbers, Adam. The truth about Australia's building crisis that no one is talking about. Yes, I got it right.
Got
This
it.
is
You
going to be
nailed
on
it,
the
bud.
podcast. So consumer confidence has hit a 50-year low. So Australians are pulling back hard. Confidence has collapsed to levels not seen in over 5 decades. Right. When sentiment breaks like this, spending, borrowing, and housing demand follow. It's not just sentiment, but it's financial stress. So Australians feel worse about their money and the economy at the same time. So both measures now are at their lowest levels on record. This is when people stop spending, delay decisions, and pull back completely. Mortgage holders are getting hit hardest. Confidence has dropped across all groups, but mortgage holders are leading the decline because they've got financial pressure.
Well, interest rates haven't gone up too much yet.
No, they haven't. They haven't. And this is what I'll talk about next, funny enough. You pre-framed it, which is amazing. The RBA is actually called a catch-22 on interest rates. You know what catch-22 is, don't you? There's a book, Catch-22, about this guy who he's trying to get out of serving the army and he's always got a catch-22, which is you do one thing, then you end up with a different problem. You do nothing and you get into a different problem. You know that one?
Yeah.
It's a famous book. And
I
see,
don't know about the book, but the saying.
yeah, but saying, you know the saying. So normally collapsing confidence, right, would force rate cuts to support the economy. So you get confidence going down, the lowest it's been in 50 years. What does the RBA do? We lower interest rates and get people
Yeah.
moving. It's the fuel to get things moving.
Well, it's what they did over COVID too.
That's right. But the inflation expectations are now surging to their highest levels in years. So the problem is they're thinking cut too early, inflation spikes, hold too long, and households break. What do we do? I know what I want to do. I
Yeah.
want to cut rates. I wish I had power of that knob and I'd cut the rates down. You know what I mean? Putting rates up ain't going to help things. So the markets expect rates to stay high for longer. So they don't believe the rate cuts are coming and they're actually pricing in higher rate cuts after. You look at this graph and they're
Mm.
predicting the rates are going to go up even higher, but you can see where they're at, right? It's not too bad.
No.
But compared to, you look at 2007, rates were right up to nearly 7.5. That was huge. Well, the worst rates we had was in the 80s when they were like 18, 19%. That was just crazy. So basically, what does higher for longer actually mean? Well, it means that they're going to spend more money, right? But look at this. Repayments on an average loan are going to rise by 600 a month on a $763,000 loan. 600 a month. Now, that's a lot of money, but it's affordable. It's not like what happened in the 80s. In the 80s, it was ridiculous. Some people paying 24% interest, which is a quarter of what you borrowed. Imagine 24% interest.
No, yeah, you couldn't do it, could you? Not this day and age.
No, but back in those days, they did that and people still
Yeah.
got through. But the market's now questioning about further hikes, and now it's a 50-50 bet. This is my bet, Adam. I bet they ain't going to go up. Because if they did go up, the RBA would be the stupidest people in the world. However, are they the stupidest people in the world? Am I allowed
Well,
to say this in public? Am I allowed to say this in public? Do I have to keep it
time
quiet?
will time will tell.
Well, they've proven to me time after time that usually their moves are bad. Now, what they did during COVID was good, dropping the rates, but I feel even then they went a bit too hard and fast instead of slow and steady. Because if you slow down on your rate cutting and your rate ramping, it just keeps things a little bit smoother.
So you don't think if interest rates will go up anymore, according to the
Look,
last?
I don't. At the moment, the market is saying 50-50.
Yeah.
Right? What I'd love to see if there's a poly market bet on this, and maybe I should set one up. I don't know if you heard of poly market.
Yes, you've told me about you've invested in it.
Yeah, it's the biggest prediction market in the world. And they predicted so many things. I should probably look it up on Polymarket. So fewer hikes expected, but rates stay high. The market's dialed back expectations, but the peak rate is still high and not coming down anytime soon. That's what they're saying.
Mm.
I think that if this all thing happens for much longer, they're going to have to come in and cut rates, especially with 50-year market sentiment being what it is. What are your thoughts, Adam?
I agree. Well, but I just can't see, I filled up my car. It was $204 for a tank of fuel, tank of
Yeah.
diesel. Like, that's just
Mm.
$200. That's a lot of money for a tank of diesel.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
So how can you afford mortgages and everything else?
Yeah. And petrol's going to affect everything else.
Mm.
Yeah. But this is the thing. The biggest tightening isn't coming from the economy. It's coming from policy response. So central banks are reacting too aggressively and amplifying the slowdown. And this is the problem, right? It's the policy of central banks and what they're doing at the moment. Look at this letter here by the Reese Group. You've probably seen it, Adam.
Yeah, I
But I'm
got
going
the
to read it
email.
out. You got the email, exactly. I'm going to read it out. 20th of March, 2026. This is a letter from Greece Group, and they've sent it out to all people they supply to. Important update, plastic pipe and fitting pricing. We want to give our valued customers as much notice as possible about upcoming price changes affecting plastic pipe and fittings, driven by the conflict in the Middle East. From 18th of April, prices from our plastic pipe and fitting suppliers will increase across the following categories. HDPE pipe and fittings up 36%, twin wall corrugated stormwater pipe and fittings up to 31%, PVC pipe and fittings up 28.5%. Now, you're going to explain all this because I don't know what the hell half of this is. Our industry is suffering from a lack of supply of raw material, fuel, and freight options, which is driving costs upwards, adding immense pressure across the market. The degree of pricing volatility we are currently experiencing in our plastics category is highly unusual. The trading environment remains very much uncertain. Our suppliers have also advised that any product not delivered by April will be priced at the updated rates as they take delivery of raw materials at their new cost base. We know that increases have a real impact on your business, although we're committed to keeping you informed with regular updates. As always, your branch team is here if you have any questions.
So
So,
in addition to that, they're also adding a anywhere between $50 to $100 per delivery surcharge almost across the board for all delivery businesses.
because
So
of diesel and
the
everything.
diesel cost.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
28% on PVC pipe, yeah, there's only $7,000 or $8,000 worth of pipe, but you add 28% to that, and then you add every other building material as well. That's
yeah,
increased build cost.
that's right. And the fact of it is, I mean, when have we seen build costs go back down after they put it up?
No, I don't think I've seen it.
It doesn't happen. It's annoying, but that doesn't happen. So what happens is build costs go up, there's a new price, and then things stabilize, but we stick at the old price. We never go down again. And this is the issue because the fact of it is, regardless of market sentiment, usually what happens is when you've got the lowest market sentiment of 50 years, that's going to drive property prices down.
Mhm.
That's the fact of it. It's a very strong pusher of property prices is sentiment. Sentiment makes a big difference. However, you can push as much as you want. You cannot change the real facts and figures on the ground. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This market sentiment can't reduce this increase because it's there.
But also, and builders can't absorb these sort of costs when they've quoted their project or quoted your house. They
Yep,
can't absorb these costs. These are costs that are coming through at the last minute.
yep. And what do you think is going to happen to the construction industry? What's going to happen to builders? What's
Well,
your
the price
prediction?
will have to go up. So I spoke to a few mates in the industry, and if you're a sort of a 1 to 2 sort of house, you probably got to get a good margin, so you could probably afford to absorb it. But if you're one of the bigger scaled builders who are doing 250 to 750 homes a year, you add, say, $10,000 a house or more, it's just going to
That's your
send your
profit.
company. Yeah, exactly. You're just going to send your company into bankruptcy. So
Yes.
you have to be very
That,
careful how everyone attacks this.
well, the problem is, I suppose, at the end of the day, builders compete with each other. And what they do is they build more, get less margin to make more profit. And when that
But they're
margin
also
gets affected,
buying on scale. So instead of
yep,
buying one or four taps for a house, they're
yep,
buying 400 taps. So
yep,
that
that's right.
that's, it reduces
Yep,
your price.
exactly.
But
And
then when
that's
those
why you
400 taps go up, that's when you're like, oh shit, your margins really
exactly,
want to trouble.
exactly. So what are the smart builders doing now?
Well, I did have, that's a good question, actually. I spoke to two of the development townhouses. They've put orders in and paid for it out of their own money. So to lock in prices for the projects for the next sort of 6 to 12 months, they've gone bulk buying. So they're lucky enough to have either the cash or the facility to be able to hold those pipes or bricks or whatever they've ordered, but they're buying up now, buying up large at that older price.
Yeah, well, I know one of your contacts, he bought a whole heap of steel from New Zealand when
No,
COVID.
that was G from
Yes,
China.
yes, from China.
Yeah,
And he
he
bought,
bought
how
bloody
much did he buy? Like he bought,
tons and he ended up building his own steel making facility because
wow.
that's
Now that's thinking outside the square. This
well,
guy's a
he's like,
genius.
timber was too expensive, couldn't get the labor was too expensive, so he got his own machine and now he makes his own steel frames on the side.
He's like the Elon Musk of building companies in
Yeah.
Australia. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He
Like,
just thinks about things and like, well, I can buy it from here and get the warranty added to it.
yeah, so the fact of it is, during COVID, we had more construction companies and builders go broke in the entire history of Australia,
And it's still
right?
happening. The ripple effect is still coming through to this day.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So they got destroyed. And what happened was we just don't have enough companies to build properties in Australia. And
Not
now
at all.
we've been hit again. It's almost like Darwinian evolution, and only the strongest survive. But the fact of it is, sometimes it's the lucky that survive because the fact of it is, we had some very big companies that were very profitable that went
Mm,
under. Huge.
yeah.
What was the biggest company? How big was that?
Yeah, and you're gonna ask me that. I'll try and think of the name. But yeah, they were large.
It was it Metricom cancelled all their
No, no.
contracts?
Metricon was very close at one stage, I
But they
believe.
cancelled all their contracts though.
They cancelled contracts, yeah.
Think about this. They had billions of dollars worth of profit and they cancelled everything because it was going to become a big loss. Can you imagine?
But that's what we have to be careful of this time round. Like the government has to be very careful that we don't send all these builders who have signed fixed price contracts, send them to the wall. Because then you're going
Yes,
to get half a
exactly.
heap of half-ass paid jobs. People aren't going to get their houses built, and then all the suppliers aren't going to get, all your baristas and all them aren't going to get paid either.
No, no, exactly. The ripple effect. So there's a real big concern that there's going to be a lot more builders going broke again, another batch of them.
Yes. Yeah.
There's going to be others that die off. The fact of it is, there's going to be a lot of builders and construction companies that are not going to survive this.
But I think it's going to be a lot of industries, like transport industries. I just think this is going to happen across the board. This is not just focused at
No, no,
construction,
I
but on
agree. I mean,
yeah,
you think about if you own a taxi business.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, suddenly now every trip is not a profit anymore unless you
Mm,
change. And I don't think they can change prices without getting the government to talk about it. Like it's quite regulated.
yeah.
But I'd imagine with the price at the moment, if you catch a taxi, they'll be losing money every time you ride with them.
Yeah. And well, I don't know about Ubers and all them. I don't know if those prices have gone up, but the people who are driving aren't going to make as much either. So I've got a mate of
No.
mine who owns a transport company. He normally spends 150 a month on diesel. From this month has been 300,000. Now
Yeah, yeah.
he normally sends 12 to 15 trucks to Perth a week, and now he's only sending four because he can't get diesel to get back. So this
Wow.
is going to
Wow.
cripple a lot of businesses out there.
Yeah. And look, the thing is, during COVID, the government came in, they reduced rates, they helped business and got everyone through it. Not only that, they actually made Australians the richest people in the world
Mm,
after COVID, right? That's what the government did. The government kicked ass. They really did well. And I'm normally, you know me, I'm all normally against all governments because I hate them because they do a shit job. But the Morrison government actually did really well and got us through COVID better off than we started. And
mm.
compared to a lot of our countries that were destroyed, our economy actually thrived and got better. And what they did is they protected business with the old, what was it called when they did that whole COVID thing?
They were giving us all grants. They're giving 20
Yeah,
grand here,
yeah.
25 grand here. There you
Hmm.
go, have 20.
Yeah. No, no, but because what happened was they retained the people. So what happened was they had payments so you could keep all your staff.
Yes.
So therefore, once COVID finished,
JobKeeper.
JobKeeper, that was it.
Yeah.
JobKeeper was a genius idea. And the reason being is as a business, one of your biggest assets is your staff. And if you lose your staff, they go on unemployment anyway. The government gives them
Yeah.
money anyway. But they're not part of your staff anymore. You've got to start from scratch and build your team out, which takes years. And the government did a great job, kept everyone in their job, everyone got money. And then as soon as COVID finished, everyone got back into it. And Australia's economy caught up really quick. So I want to talk to our current government. Please learn from what we did during COVID and do something similar. Because you look at what happened during GFC, right? So during GFC, our government, pathetic, What they did is they sent a $2,000 check to all the people that were lower income, and then these people bought fucking big TVs,
TV. Yeah, wasn't
right?
that called?
Big
Didn't they
TVs,
name it something about the
and
TV, flat
and
screen,
the
movies?
economy, the economy tanked, right? And it was really
Except for
hard to get
Harvey
out.
Norman. Harvey
Yeah,
Norman was governor.
Harvey Norman in China and
Yeah.
South Korea. But what I'm saying is they gave money to people that aren't financially smart with money. The
Yeah.
worst people you give money to is people that are poor, right? People are going to hate this when they hear it, but giving money to
Yeah.
poor people is not smart. That they're poor for a reason. Poor people are poor because they make bad decisions consistently. Because if you make good decisions, you're not going to be poor anymore. I think people are going to get the soundbite, and I'm going to see it on the internet. It's going to be crazy. I
I
don't care.
know. I'll leave this one to you for I'm just
I
going to
don't
sit
care.
here
I don't. I
smile.
don't care. I don't care because it's true. And I'm hoping the government now doesn't give money to just the lower income, but actually helps businesses because business is what's going to get us out of this. And what they need to do is they need to make sure that businesses don't go broke because we need our businesses. We've got a lot of small business and medium-sized business in Australia, and this is the most important thing we can do. There you go. I said my little rant,
But let's just, but
and
yeah, let's hope the government does do something. Like I didn't watch Albanese's speech last night, but the feedback I'm getting is absolutely terrible. Like it was a disgusting
look,
waste of time. That was
what
it
I
was
heard,
pre-recorded. It wasn't even a live
yeah,
up
what I heard, he said, everything's normal, don't worry. Then he said,
just
look,
catch public
if you
transport.
get the public transport, and look, I feel like the government needs to really get a think tank and go, shit, what are we going to do? We need to
Mm,
fix this issue. We need to solve things out because there's people's livelihoods at risk here,
yep.
right? And we don't want to go through a recession. Forget that.
Mm.
Want to do something better. Okay, let's go. Let's continue this presentation. God, I've gone on a bit of a side quest there.
Gone off sidetrack.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all we're here to do. Okay, rental market proves the headaches for tenants in the RBA. Rents dropped for a while, right? So what happened was we had a dip in rents, and now they've come back up again. They're going back up again. So a lot of people will see this. You look at 2025, rents dropped, and now they're bouncing back because they had to drop because they went up so high. That's more about rental growth accelerating across the country. And the thing is, if you go back to that graph, let's go back to that graph. Back one more. Okay, if you look at this graph, see at the bottom there, 2025. So if you bought a property in 2024, you got these rents going down. So you could actually, if you bought one and settled right at the bottom of that peak, your rents would have dropped and you'd see a bit of hardship. But now they're going up again. And that's the thing people have to realize. Because I know with rents, you want to be at the right part of that graph, but being right part of that graph in your area is just luck. But you've got to look at the long term, not the short term. Let's keep going. So rent is now taking a third of household income. So we've got rent taking a third of the household income. We've got petrol taking the other third. What are we going to do?
Yeah, food's expensive, bills are expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
I've noticed that on it's me in particular, the feedback you get for solar. I used to get 8 cents per kilowatt. Now they've cut it down to 4 cents per
yeah.
kilowatt.
Of
It's
course they
like
have.
it's like, hang on, I signed up for 8 and now you're giving me 4. And I've seen other companies are only giving 2%.
Yeah, which is nothing.
No, it doesn't even cover the bloody surcharge that I'm paying to have the electricity to the house is like $1.20 a day or something. And even if I don't use any electricity for the whole day, I don't even make $1.20 with and I've got a 10
With
kilowatt
solar.
system. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
mean, the government talks about we want renewables, but they don't reward you for having them.
no,
Now, this is the big elephant in the room.
tell me.
Migration is driving rental demand higher. So you look at this graph, net overseas migration, net permanent and long-term arrivals. So net overseas migration has dipped a bit, as you can see the blue line, but net permanent and long-term arrivals has gone right up. And really, it's the same sort of
Mm.
thing. The net permanent and long-term arrivals, they haven't officially migrated, but they're living in the country and having to live somewhere.
Do you know
So
how many people are coming in a year at the moment? I don't know.
yes, yes, have a
I
look at this.
just,
Okay, have a look at this on the graph. At the moment, the blue graph there, you've got overseas people coming here, but then you've got the permanent long-term arrivals. That's nearly 500,000.
shit.
So we've got hundreds of thousands of people a year coming here. We've got, like in 2 years, you've got a whole Adelaide worth of people coming to the country.
Mm. It's a lot of people.
The global gas supply is tightening. So global LNG supply has been disrupted with key supply routes and producers under pressure, right? So demand across Asia remains strong. Now, you know, one of the biggest gas suppliers in the world is Australia.
I was going to say, can't visit us, is it? Yeah.
It's us. But what do? We give it to the multinationals and let them take it away, and they do all this fancy stuff and pay zero tax. So current policy is risking pushing domestic gas prices much higher if the Iran war keeps going. This is the gas tax. So momentum for a meaningful gas tax or reform is fading fast. Policy is stalling while global energy markets remain volatile. Despite rising concerns of multinational profits leaving our country, there's no clear solution is being implemented. So what it does, it leaves Australia exposed to global pricing with no real protection, even though we produce gas. Now this gets me mad. This gets me angry. You seen Mad Max?
Yeah.
This is what's happening now. There's a period of scarcity, and what's happening is countries now are stopping exports of fertilizer and oil and gas and hoarding it for themselves. So I think I need to get my leather gear out and get ready for Mad Max. Apparently,
Yeah.
in Mad Max, everyone's got leather gear. So every country's looking after itself. Because look at global jet fuel exports, right? Countries have started to hold on to their own energy supply, and exports are being restricted as global availability tightens. Of course. Now, we depend heavily on imported fuel from other countries. We shouldn't depend on other countries
No.
at all. We've got a lake of oil in Queensland that's bigger than, I don't know which island it is. It's humongous. We've got so much oil.
It's like 40 years worth of oil, apparently.
We've got more than that. That's at today's technology, not
Yeah.
tomorrow's technology, right?
No,
We've
just
got,
that one dam is enough
yeah,
to
yeah,
have.
that's what I'm saying. It's crazy. We've got oil and gas enough for our whole country. However, we actually pay more for oil and gas than just about anyone, and we export it all without getting any tax. And this is our biggest issue in Australia. Literally, that's our big issue at the moment.
We used to do it all in this country. Back when
Yes,
a couple generations ago, we used to make our own tires. We used to make our own cars. We used to do everything. We were self-sufficient, basically. Now
we
we're so heavily reliant on overseas.
we actually had 5 oil
Even
tankers. We used to produce oil and petroleum and diesel and everything else.
even bloody pineapple. We import in Aldi, they sell pineapple from another country. Like why? I
Correct.
refuse to buy it.
Look at this. Export restrictions spreading globally. So people are restricting fertilizer, methanol, crude, minerals, LNG, all this sort of stuff is getting now stopping going out. Major global suppliers are restricting export to secure their own domestic supply. The other thing is fertilizer, right? China have stopped exporting fertilizer because they need it to grow plants. We need fertilizer. You know what we need to grow food? Fertilizer
Sun,
and
sun
diesel.
and water.
Well, no. Actually, fertilizer and diesel. We've got sun and water. But
Yeah.
without fertilizer and diesel, we can't do anything.
What
We
about the
need
sun?
diesel. No, well, we already got the sun. No one's covering the sun. Do you get what I'm saying? We need the sun and water we've already got here, and there's no limit to that. But the fertilizer and diesel we don't have, and we need that to produce food. And there's a lot of now rural places that have actually run out of diesel and they're going to miss their planting
Mm.
window. These farms could go broke because you've only got a certain window to plant, and that's it. And to plant, you need diesel, you need fertilizer. So oil prices have pulled back temporarily, but there's still a big risk. So any relief is likely short-lived. A lot of negative news here. Sorry, guys. I don't want to give you negative news, but I have to give it to you the way it is. What can I say? I recently posted this about Norway and Australia and the difference, right? And basically, Norway, what they did is they taxed all their resources and created a sovereign fund, and now it's worth $2 trillion. And what has Australia done? We just gave it all for free, right? So basically, I've had over 3,000 likes, 2,000 shares. It's been huge. And I'm just going to read some of the comments here. Well said, George. Thank you. I can't clap any louder for this. I wish a lot of people would wake up to what's happening. People need to do their research. Oh my God, George Markoski. At school, we heard these warnings. We heard about all our natural resources and that becoming self-sufficient would see us continue being the lucky country, the wealthy country. Spot on. Our politics haven't looked after us financially for 30 years. They're a disgrace. Ever since the Australian government decided to commit and move to sell off or renting our resource to international globalists in the 80s
Yeah.
was a ticking time bomb. Absolutely.
Spot on.
Great video that clearly illustrates what we could achieve if we woke up and demand change from our political class. This should be a movement. There should be a wake-up call for us because with gas and oil going up in value, if we actually taxed our gas, just our gas, we can get $20 billion a year from gas. Imagine we did that to oil, iron ore, copper, gold, everything else. It wouldn't surprise me if we could hit $50 to $100 billion a year and become the richest country in the world. We create a sovereign fund, invest all over the world, and then Australians could invest for their future because really our resources are ours and we should be, once they're gone, they're finished. So house prices to fall as sellers flood the market. It's actually already happened. Prices have softened up and there's a little bit of a dip in certain places. But we've seen this before. Every time clearance rates fall, price growth slows. It's a normal part of the property cycle. That's the fact of it. And Sydney isn't immune to the cycle either. So clearance rates have dropped to 55%, which means property prices are dropping in Sydney also. But Sydney was overpriced anyway, it was overcooked. What it looks like is basically a short market slowdown. Clearance rates are falling, listings are rising, buy and demand is weakening, high interest rates are putting pressure on borrowing capacity and sentiment. So this is what a rate-driven slowdown looks like. The rates have pushed up and slowed the market down.
So it's done what the RBA wanted it to do.
Yep, exactly. And we're going to discuss this further. I just want to go through real people, real results. We'll go through one case study, and then we're going to take questions. Okay, this is Andrew and Nicole Griffiths from New South Wales. They've had 634,000 growth in 3 years. So what's that per year?
210,000.
$210,000. That's like getting quite a lot of part-time jobs to help you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So they bought with ratio, settled 2023. They bought it for 453,000, and the current value is 720. They made 267,000 in that, 89 grand a year on one property. That's one wage. That's one person working full time and paying zero tax. Then they got Caboolture, 472. That current value is now 701,000. Capital Grove, 230,000. 115,000 a year in 2 years. That's like another wage. Then they got Redback Plains, settled in 2024. They purchased 572, and now it's worth 710,000. Capital Growth 138,000. That's 69,000 a year. Even the one that didn't do so well is still amazing. So
Yeah.
they've literally got a portfolio now worth over 2 million. Capital Growth is
And
634,000.
the next release of Red Bank Plains is going to be 750 anyway, so you're 40 grand out on that number.
I know, I know. These numbers were
But
done a
that's
couple
yeah,
of
but I'm
weeks
just letting
ago.
you know that there's another 40 grand in equity there you've got.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Let's now do our Q&A. Okay, this is one thing I want to mention before we go into the Q&A is there's a lot of negative stuff that I talked about tonight, right? Because I want to be real with people and I don't want to be one of these fake people saying, wow, the world is amazing, be positive, because you got to see things for what they are. What I'm not saying is what you got to do when things are looking tough like this is you need to stick to the fundamentals of investing. So I've seen this movie before. Okay. I've been investing for over 30 years now, right? And the one thing you got to do when you're investing is stick to the principles and you got to be consistent and you got to keep investing because that's how you're going to make money. At the moment, there's a slowdown and the market's softened up. There's your opportunity to buy property and own your future. Don't let the negativity wreck your mindset and be one of those people that waits, because I've seen this over and over again. The people that waited during the GFC, they lost money. The people that waited through COVID lost money. The people that wait through this are going to lost money
But
because,
you just on a quick,
yeah,
you were one of the only people I know who said that property is going to go up at COVID and after COVID. So, like, even myself, who's been in this business for 26 years, I even sold real estate thinking that, oh yeah, this is going to be, the shit house. All of a sudden, bang, what you predicted was exactly true. So
yeah. Well,
I
if
listened,
you
I
look,
listened to you.
okay, well, look at this. What's happening to building prices? They're going up. Builders are going to go broke, right? Because I only look at two things, Adam. I look at supply and demand. What's happening to supply?
It's
Now,
very, very tight.
there's going to be less completions.
Mm.
People push this out. Builders are going to go broke. There's going to be less completions. There's going to be less supply. Also, to replace the property, because it's got to cost more.
Yep.
These 70 immigrants are coming into Australia. They're going to still need to live somewhere, right? Every 3 people that come to Australia need one dwelling. You got to look at that. So it's going to be pretty crazy. And what I'm saying to people is stay the course, be calm, and just buy property, buy and hold, because that's how you become rich. You become wealthy by ignoring all the noise and sticking to the fundamentals. That's all you do. That's how simple. Okay, let's do our Q&A. Good on you, George. Thank you. You're right, George. Knowing the reasons why we are becoming investors, service comes to mind to help other people maintain or repair their own properties. Love it. I work in oil and gas. Big mistake closing refineries down in Australia.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave.
100%.
God bless President Trump. Okay, I don't know why they said that. Yeah, bless him, as
I
in
think
he
it's
destroyed
tongue
the
in cheek, I
economy.
think, that one.
I think so, yes.
Because
The
he's
price,
said he's not going to start any wars. He's going to end them all. He's started more wars than anyone else. He loves them.
look,
I would too if I had a piece in my backyard.
yeah, well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, Adam, look, um, when Trump was coming in power, the left were pretty crazy, and he looked like, wow, he's going to come in and change things. What did he say? I'm going to release the Epstein files,
Yep. Didn't
and I'm
happen.
going to not do any wars. What did he do? Stop them from being released,
Yeah.
right? Completely and utterly. And they had 2,000 lawyers redacting his name out of it. They should call it the Trump files, not the Epstein files. And
Yeah.
then he started more wars than everyone else. So what he said was great. What he did was the opposite. Okay, Craig, the same amount of fuel is coming in before the war. However, the government is withholding it to raise the reserve. Okay, there you go. Solar batteries are coming down too now, Adam.
Coming down in price. Yeah, they probably
Yeah.
are.
It's almost as if they're trying to weed out the lower side of the middle class. If they're actually, for the people, their lower rates, impose a tax on gas and become self-sufficient. Absolutely, Craig. Absolutely. Queensland's oil take the size of Singapore. Yeah, the Queensland Lake of Oil is the size of Singapore.
That's a big, big.
That's huge, right? I'm say, shit, Queensland
Yeah, we'll
needs
take.
freedom. We're going to help Queensland get some freedom. They've
Yeah.
got a very bad government, very bad people. We're going to come and help them.
Yeah.
Okay, what did the property market do after the oil crisis in the 70s? Adam, good question. That was one of our biggest booms, right? So what
The
happened was
baby boomers here. Is that 70s? Was
um,
it 80s?
the 70s is X generation, people that were born in the
Yeah,
70s. We had the OPEC oil crisis in the 1970s,
that's right.
and that was actually one of the first biggest
That's
booms
right.
in property in Australia. What are the primary strategic investment advantages associated with acquiring residential real estate in the Wyndham Vale suburb in Victoria? At the moment, this is amazing to say, but if you look at the graph, because I keep track of everything and I wanted to share it tonight, but I'm going to share it next Thursday. And if you look at prices, because I like to look at the national price and then all the different capitals, guess what the market is in Australia?
Victoria.
Victoria. Melbourne's the most affordable market in Australia. And it's a big advantage
So you
because
can only go one way.
when you're the most affordable market, you're only going one way. Absolutely. Because Victoria cannot stay as the most affordable market. Victoria is going to be in the top 3 markets in Australia. Okay. I'm recording this now, 2nd of April, 2026. Listen
Hmm.
carefully because we can play this back in a couple of years. Because I remember when I said Brisbane's going to be the second highest market in Australia
Hmm.
about 10 years ago. And I kept saying it. And there it is. It is. Well, Victoria is going to be in the top 3 again. It will get back there. Don't worry. It's a big city. It's going to happen. What's the market doing in Longhorn? Loganholme,
Logan Home.
Comparing it with properties of secured in Caboolture and Townsville, and the difference in purchase price and rentals are very different. We're expecting to see a surge in rentals.
In Logan Home, no, there won't be a surge of rentals there. No. There's not enough land there to develop because it's halfway between Brisbane and Gold Coast. It's the last sort of area you can develop. So
Yeah,
it's going to
it's going
push
to get,
prices up in that
yeah.
area.
Okay, are we expecting new release in Lakelands? Okay, I think now is time to go to our private group because we're going to talk about certain suburbs and things like that. So, to the public group, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing to us. Have a happy Easter. Easter is actually the holiday in Australia. But more people go away at Easter than Christmas. Have a very safe and wonderful Easter, and I'll see you next Thursday night. And we're going to go back into our internal group now. Thank you.
Thank you.